Nigeria's power sector is again facing uncertainty, not from policy gaps or market forces, but from conflicting interpretations of the law governing its regulator. Recent concerns over the chairmanship of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission raise critical questions about legality, governance, and institutional stability. While fears of an illegal chairmanship have gained traction, Section 40, subsection 1 of the Electricity Act 2023 clearly empowers the president to designate a chairman and vice chairman from among already Senate-confirmed commissioners. Understanding this provision is essential to safeguarding regulatory confidence, sector stability, and ongoing electricity reforms. We have joining us now electricity market analyst Lanre Elatuyi. Thank you for your time. Good morning.
Good morning, Joanna, and good morning, Nigerians.
Yes, and looking at the controversy over the NERC's leadership, it raises legal concerns. So how should Section 40, subsection 1 of the Electricity Act 2023 be correctly interpreted?
I think you meant to say Section 41, subsection 1 of the Electricity Act. So the law is quite clear as to how commissioners are appointed, the tenures of the commissioners, and for the position of chairman and vice chairman, both the repealed Extra Act of 2005 and the Electricity Act of 2023 are quite clear. So the interpretation of the Section 41, subsection 1 of the Electricity Act 2023 is simply that the president has the prerogative of selecting or designating one of the appointed commissioners as the chairman of the commission. This is what the president has simply done. So I don't believe there's no controversy as regards the designation of the current chairman, Dr. Musili Oseni, as the chairman of NERC. So there's no controversy about it at all.
Well, I mean, this is you providing clarity, but we know that there is controversy on the ground. There are those who are disputing it. So in spite of the clarity that you have provided as regards that particular section of the law, why are people still confusing that? Why is there controversy or dispute on the ground around the NERC's chairmanship?
I wouldn't know if there's any controversy on ground, but let's just give you a bit of background. Yes, somebody was appointed or was nominated as the chairman of NERC a few months back, and the individual went to the Senate and he couldn't get screened. So, but this is what really happened, the correction that the Mr. President has made. Dr. Oseni was appointed as the commissioner of NERC in 2017. So according to Section 36, subsection 1 of the Electricity Act 2023, and according to Section 35, subsection 1 of the repealed Extra Act of 2005, the tenure of a commissioner is 5 years. So Dr. Oseni was initially appointed as the commissioner in 2017, meaning that he has 5 years that elapsed in year 2020. So according to the law, Section 36, subsection 4, that a commissioner can be reappointed for another term of 5 years if the commissioner has performed excellently well and there was no ground for him not to be reappointed. So what just simply happened is that Dr. Oseni was given another 5 years, which is going to elapse come February 2017. So as a commissioner, it was the right of the Mr. President to, as provided for in Section 41, subsection 1 of the Electricity Act, that one of the commissioners can be designated as the chairman. So that is what exactly the Mr. President did, and that is why Dr. Oseni was appointed. I think where the controversy arose from is probably the fact that maybe somebody's name was sent to the Senate for screening, and I think by when the Senate and the people at the presidency look at the provisions of the law, so they just have to just make an amendment and follow what the law says. So the people that are saying this is not right, I think they should be able to provide what sections of the law that contradicts what the president has done. Nobody has been able to do that.
Interesting. Now, given that the commissioners that already Senate confirmed, is additional confirmation legally required for their designation as chairman or vice chairman? What does the law stipulate as regards that?
Section 41, I repeat, is quite clear. There's no need for confirmation. The confirmation needed is for you to be confirmed by the Senate as a commissioner. So if you look at it, it's expressly stated in section 41, subsection 1 of the Electricity Act 2023. So Mr. President has the prerogative of designating one of the commissioners. That is what the law simply says. So there was no provision for resignation as a commissioner or for the name of the chairman or vice chairman to be submitted or to be screened by the Senate again. There's no provision of such in the law, in the Electricity Act. And if anybody has any other version of the Electricity Act, maybe they can provide that. But the one that we have in the sector, there's nothing that says anything like that.
And how does the current interpretation of NERC's leadership structure, how does it affect regulatory certainty in the power sector?
Number one, you look at the individual that have been designated as well, the chairman and the vice chairman. In terms of academic excellence or academic qualification, we know both of them are PhD holders with PhD from US of Cambridge, so they have the educational qualification. Besides that, Dr. Seni has been with NERC for the past 8 years. Dr. Yusuf has been for the past 3-4 years. So in terms of experience, they have an experience, and over the years, they'll be the one championing the ongoing reforms we have in the sector. So in terms of regulatory stability, I think this is the right call. This is the right decision by Mr. President. So they have the experience, and apart from having the industrial experience, I think they have the temperament, they have the personality to drive the sector forward. So in terms of regulatory certainty, I think this is a plus. Then in terms of installing investors' confidence in the sector, these are folks that the industry know very well, and they'll be performing very well over the years, I think. So this is a new challenge to them, for them to be able to achieve the sector's goal, the sector's ambition of ensuring that Nigerians have reliable electricity at affordable rates and in a sustainable manner.
And what risk do conflicting legal interpretations, what risk do they pose to the validity of NERC's decision and directives?
There's no risk attached to it. Talking from the perspective of a stakeholder in the sector, talking from the perspective of the utilities, the regulated entities, the GENCOs and the discourse, they have no problem about that. Then talking about other entities in the sector or investors in the sector, they don't have any problem about that. Maybe politicians, maybe people with vested interest, but I think that does not in any way affect the performance of the sector. So you can only have problem when the regulated entities are the ones shouting that there's a controversy. So up to now, I haven't seen any representative of the discourse, any representative of the GENCOs or any of the regulated entities coming out to say that the decision made by Mr. President is controversial in any way. So if there's anybody speaking, probably politicians, probably those that felt lost out, but not the stakeholders, not the critical stakeholders in the sector, and not the consumers.
All right. And do you see any need for there to be clarity on this issue? How do you think that regulatory clarity at NERC can help attract investments, ensure stability in Nigeria's electricity markets?
I don't believe there's regulatory clarity unless Nigerians don't really read, or probably people read and they just want to just infer another meaning from probably whatever they read. So as regards to your questions, what the regulators need to do is just to up their game and try to understand the problems of Nigerians. The work of the regulators to strike a balance between the interests of the sectors, of the investors, and consumer protection. So what is expected of them to see, okay, what are the complaints by the consumers? So especially consumers that feel that they're not getting the required service, that are not getting the best from the utilities, or probably the part to cost recovery for utilities that have invested money in the sector. So I think that's what they need to do. In terms of clarity, I think there's a clarity. The Electricity Act 2023 is that's the policy from the federal government. Their work as a regulator is for them to drive the policy of the federal government and to make sure that the sector is regulated in a way to achieve the goals and the objectives of the electricity market in Nigeria.
Right. And believe it or not, in spite of the clarity and those that you say are not reading, there is a debate, right, going on. So in what ways do you see this debate testing the balance of power between executive, legislature, and of course the statutory regulators?
Oh, the ongoing debate, I wouldn't know what it is. Is it still about the constitutionality or the legality of the appointment? Is that what you're referring to as the ongoing debate?
The chairmanship of the NERC, yes.
Like I say, all I've said is within the law. I've said it repeatedly, and I'm going to say it. Even the repealed extra act stipulated how the chairman should be appointed or should be designated. If you look at section 40 of the repealed act, it just clearly states that Mr. President has the prerogative power of appointing one of the commissioners. If you look at the section 41, subsection 1 of the Electricity Act 2023, it simply says that one of the commissioners, it can be any of the commissioners can be designated by Mr. President. It's only Mr. President that has that power. That is what the Electricity Act says. Probably where we're having a problem is when people conflate the provision of the Constitution in the Nigerian Constitution is in section 153 and section 154 that stipulates that some entities have to submit the names of their chairman and vice chairman for Senate for confirmation. Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission is not included in one of those entities. The sector is really guided by an act, which is the Electricity Act. So the Electricity Act, in section 41, like I've said repeatedly, subsection 1 says that Mr. President only has the prerogative power to designate one of the commissioners as the chairman, and this is what Mr. President has done. So there's no controversy around it, unless probably people are just trying to bring about controversy where none exists.
But from what you just said, there are certain entities that can perhaps make suggestions or put names forward. That's what you said, right? Ahead of the...
That is in Constitution.
Yeah. So was that process followed? Was that process followed in this instance?
NERC is not mentioned as one of those entities.
Outside of NERC, the other entities stipulated within that section, were they a part of this decision making? Was due process followed, or was the decision just made from the top without the process?
No, I can only talk about NERC. I don't really know much about the law guiding other entities. So I can only talk confidently about NERC and the law that guides the sector. So if I'm going to mention other entities that I'm not really clear about the law that establishes them, I think I may be saying something out of my knowledge scope for now. So, but I'm only saying what I know, what the Electricity Act says, what the Electricity Act stipulates, and what Mr. President has done. So there's no controversy around that at all. So if anybody has any controversy, he or she should bring evidence as provided in the law, whether in the repealed extra act of 2025 or in the Electricity Act 2023.
All right. And looking at what Section 41 stipulates of the Electricity Act 2023, how would you say aligns with the similar provisions in the EPSRA 2005?
It's still the same thing. Is this the same thing? Designate one of the commissioners as chairman, and vice chairman. As simple. There's nothing that says that their names should be resubmitted to the Senate for confirmation as long they are commissioners. Dr. Hosseini is a commissioner. Dr. Yusuf is a commissioner. They've gone for Senate screening. Senate has screened them, confirmed them as commissioners. So by provision of section 41, subsection 1, they are eligible to be designated as chairman and vice chairman. And that is the provision of the Electoral 2023. That is simply what Mr. President has done.
Right. And I think lessons from all of this, right? What lessons would you say this whole situation offers for governance, leadership appointments in other regulatory agencies?
We just need to read our law, then understand and comprehend our law. So I think I don't want anybody to feel attacked, but I think that it's just as simple as that. What are the provisions of the law? And then how do your comprehension of the law? So we just need to understand what the law says. Clearly, we need to read, then we need to understand and comprehend very well. Yeah. I think that's the lesson learned in all of this.
Right, and hopefully have people to interpret the law, because we know how voluminous some of these laws and sections
it's not ambiguous. It's not ambiguous unless somebody just want to attach ambiguity to it. Laws are not really ambiguous. You just need to read and understand it.
All right, so altogether, finally, why is timely legal clarity on NERC's chairmanship? Why is it critical for the success, especially for the ongoing reforms we're seeing within the power sector?
Yeah, it's quite critical. Like I said, we had a point in the sector that, to me, I believe is more critical than when we privatized. So now there's an ongoing reform with dual regulatory responsibilities given to the federal, given to the states. So states, there's still a lot of efforts that should be put into that. There's still a lot of things that are not clear as to what state electricity market really means. Is it just having a regulatory oversight on the distribution level? So, or what constitutes electricity market at state level is a critical moment for the Nigerian power sector. So I think at this point, we need somebody that's going to midwife this process of having a competitive market transition from the current central buyer model to a more liberalized, a more competitive electricity market, especially in the wholesale market, and for us to know in what way can state and the federal collaborate very well in terms of states' rights to legislate on electricity generation, distribution, and transmission. So I think we still have to do a lot of work as regards that. We have states that have that regulatory autonomy, and it appears as if there's nothing like readiness. So I think it's a critical moment for NERC to come to say, okay, if states, what constitutes readiness on the part of states before they begin to issue regulatory autonomy to states. There are a lot of consumers in states that have the regulatory autonomy. Those states don't have the regulatory body on ground. Some of them that have regulatory body on ground, they are not even determining their tariffs. The tariff is still being determined by NERC. So in terms of two things, tariffs, design, and quality of service to consumers. So I think states have to do a lot about that. So it's a complex thing that I'm not sure this session we unwrap what has to be done and what needs to be done from the regulators, from the government, and from all the entities involved.
All right, so one more question for this session. Beyond the administrative and the organograms within the power sector, the lived experience of consumers right now in this festive season, I'm hearing several tales. I don't know what your experience is with power supply. There are those who are saying there's no longer any bans anymore. Everybody is having the same experience, the shortage of power supply. Any ideas what's happening?
Yeah, I think one of the problems we're having is that I think there's been some reduction in generation because of the vandalism of one of the gas transmission lines. then you have to understand seasonality and the time that we have. This is a peak time, the peak demand, holidays, a lot of people, dirty Decembers, a lot of people are coming to the country. So the demand for electricity is going to be higher. Then if you look at the ambient temperature now, that's one of the factors that actually affect the optimal performance of electrical equipment. So all those things come into play. More demand, ambient temperature, loss of generation. So we're having a kind of not only resource adequacy, but in the sense that our ability to meet our peak demand or increase in demand at this present time. So that's basically what is happening. It's not as if probably the discourse and the distribution companies have really invested much in their capacity to be able to meet peak demand. So it's the season. The season, a lot of people are more the temperature requires more ACs to be put on, more fridges, more freezers to be put on, more fans to be put on. These are inductive loads that have effect on the networks generally. So what we're having is not out of place. So what we just need to do is just to plan, and that is in terms of resource adequacy, in terms of system and network planning, to see that when peak demand comes, we have a system that is able to meet demand in real time.
And your word, with all this in context, with all this in the backdrop, all that you have said, what would be your word? What should be the mandate for the new NERC chairman as appointed by Tinubu, Dr. Oseni?
What I would tell Dr. Oseni and Dr. Yusuf is that they shouldn't relax. They should see this as a challenge. Dr. Oseni he asked between now and February to bring about a change because his tenure expires in February 2027. So there's a lot of things to do. They need to engage credible consultants. They can't do it alone. There's a form of information asymmetry between the regulators and the regulated entities. So they need to know more what is going on at discourse level. And they need to be, they don't need to do a lot of things. They just need to look at critical points, maybe just 2 or 3 areas. Number one, how do you reduce the cost of electricity? Then number 2, how do you ensure that the distribution companies are delivering optimally? So like you said, a lot of people are complaining about this band of a thing that, okay, they're not getting that 20 hours, especially people in band A as required, as stipulated. So I think they just need to look at those critical moments. How do we optimize at the distribution level? How do we optimize at the generation level? And how do we ensure that, okay, investors can say, okay, if they invest in the Nigerian power sector, there's a direct path to, there's the obvious path to cost recovery. I think that's what they need to do. But I'm just talking in a general, I'm being generic in what I'm saying, but there are some specific things that have to be done. But that is when adequate studies are being conducted, right consultants are engaged, and there's a regulatory I don't know the word to use now.
Oversight.
The regulator has to be firm. They have to be firm on the on the entities. They have to be firm, and they need not be captured by the politician. So they need to be firm in the discharge of their duties. So, and when there's a need for them to when something attracts punitive measures, so they shouldn't wait for them to do that if any discourse falls short of any expectations of any milestones.
Indeed. I mean, Dr. Oseni definitely has his work cut out for him, and hopefully consumers feel the impact of his appointment. But thank you so much for your perspective on the show today. Lanre Elatuyi, Electricity Market Analyst.
Thank you so much, Joanna. It's a pleasure.